What's up, y'all? Just gonna wait for our boy Ryan to tap in. We're gonna get this started. It's gonna be some interesting conversation, as this man has a lot of knowledge in the fitness industry and health and wellness. So just gonna wait for him to tap in, and we're gonna get it started. Chrissy, I see that. Appreciate you. Appreciate you, Chris. We just waiting for Ryan to tap in so we can get him on here. Sure, he'll join in a second. Oh, I see he just jumped in. So as soon as he hey Ryan, go ahead and request me, bro, and then we jump you right on in. All right, there we go. Yo,
What's up, man? How are you?
what up, bro?
Dude, long time.
I know, man.
Dude, last time we did this was, that must have been like 5 years ago.
Or maybe more.
It was like, I think you and I were both like really starting to get going on our Instagram pages.
Yeah, we had like 3 followers.
Yeah.
And it was your girl, my wife, and like our clients maybe.
That's awesome, man. Well, I'm glad to finally hook back up, man. I'm glad that you are doing these as a more regular thing, man. I'm excited.
Yeah, you know what, man? I was testing it out in the beginning, and then once they finished, people were like, "Hey, man, we like to hear you talk more. Why don't you just kind of make that a regular thing?" And I was like, nobody really cared what the hell I'm saying. But then I'm like, you never know who's tapping in and receiving messages.
It's so true, man. Like, I mean, especially with like the Instagram grind nowadays, like the algorithm is really not in favor of anything in fitness. And so like your numbers are astronomically lower no matter who you are. But at the end of the day, if one person sees something that's beneficial to them or positively affects them and they give you that feedback, that's sometimes all you need to do to like continue yourself to keep going?
Absolutely, bro. Give me 1 second. Let me see if I could get my headphones to pop in. Give me 1 second.
No, go for it. Take your time.
Yeah. I don't know. Can you hear me?
Yeah.
Yeah. I don't know. It just don't work. I don't know why.
No, it's all right. You're gonna have to deal with the child distractions in the background for a little bit.
I know, man. So we got a few people in, which is dope, guys. We'll go ahead and get started on this episode 5 of Tips by Tibbs, where we give you not only tips on health, fitness, and wellness, but we actually give you life tips as well. Because we're all going through things, and if we're sharing knowledge and experiences from ourselves, we might be reaching out to someone else. So, Ryan, man, just go ahead and give the people a little bit about who you are before we get into the meat and potatoes and what you do. Kind of pub up your businesses and all that. I want people to know who you are, and if they're interested in your services, they can come to you.
Awesome, man. So my name is Ryan Peak. I am the owner of Peak Kinetics, which is obviously reversed right now. But Peak Kinetics is my online coaching service. I've been personal training for 16 years. My mother and I actually owned a personal training studio for the entire 16 years until I decided to fully go online. Peak Kinetics is now my strictly online platform. We work one-on-one with clients, both male and female. My girlfriend, Jen Caniff, is actually my business partner and co-coach, so she coaches with me. But we have a virtual app that we work with everyone where we're able to then create a different customized video tutorials to basically take everybody through the entire transformation aspect that you would normally be missing with personal training. Obviously, personal training is limited to the hour that you're working with whoever the individual is. Online, we're obviously able to check the boxes off of not only the physicality aspect of the transformation, but also the mindset and nutrition.
Hey guys, I hope you guys really heard what he said. He's actually an expert at this. It's kind of the reason why we really connected, because we were following each other's posts and we're like, man, we're on the same wavelength. And to be frankly honest, we both don't like a lot of the bullshit that's put out there in the industry. And you guys know me, I don't sugarcoat nothing. If I call bullshit fast.
That's so true.
Guys,
it's a rarity, man. I seriously, I love our relationship because like I always joke around with people. I'm like, one of these days, I don't know how he's faking the lives and whatnot, but he could be like a 400-pound white guy that's just been catfishing me this entire time. But I'm like, seriously, like you become a close friend of mine. You're one of the few people that I really, really respect in the industry, and it's been awesome because I mean, dude, like we've been following each other for probably 6 or 7 years, and like we really were like first starting to kind of get the wheels turning at the very beginning. So I've had a chance to obviously watch Corey's progression throughout the years and to just see you continuously grind, despite, the algorithms and everything that's been going on in the industry, staying true to yourself. And then obviously your personal accomplishments of bodybuilding, which have just been incredible, man. And you're a dad of some incredible kids, and, to see you just, I mean, crushing everything, man, it really is inspiring. It really is.
Bro, I appreciate that, man. Like, I got the utmost respect for you. And just wanted the people to know that. What do you say, Coach Tibbs, sugarcoats? What do you say?
You say he doesn't sugarcoat anything.
Oh, I've been kind of getting the tag of the asshole of the industry, but people like the realness, man. Like, nowadays nobody wants to hear fake. I've always been one that's like, hey, if I gotta hurt your feelings to tell you the absolute truth,
right,
that's what it is. You're just not gonna like me for telling you the truth.
It's true. I mean, like part of it, I would say probably the biggest issue of the fitness industry isn't just the lack of information that people are going to get, but the authenticity or lack thereof, because people just want to be liked, right? And so like if you're only thinking of things from the sales perspective, then you need to stay on everybody's good side. And like I'm not normally like the most abrasive type, but like to your point, being authentic and telling people what they truly need to hear ultimately is going to help them get to where they want to be. If you're always trying to tell them what they want to hear, they're just going to be in the same spot that they were when they started.
Exactly. I mean, and we could just go to like maybe somebody that's overweight, right? No one, not even their friends, looked them in the face and said, "Stop eating that shit."
Yeah, right.
No, people won't do that. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. No, I even, dude, my girlfriend is currently prepping for a show right now. I even and I'm coaching her. So this is now our second go around. It's going to be our second show, but the first show that we would have done together, where I would have been her coach, got canceled. It was April of 2020. So we had just shut down right before she was going to step on stage. And whenever she's eating something that she's not supposed to, there's like that boyfriend versus coach thing where I'm like, okay, do I want to fight with her all day long when I slap that thing out of her?
Hey, bro. Man, light bulbs is going off right now. Let me tell you something. My wife is prepping for a show right now too.
Oh, no way. All right.
Yeah, she's doing. She's actually in the live too. But she's in the room with the kids, so she's having a hell of a time right now. But
That's awesome.
she's doing a transformation class, so it's basically like more of a weight loss class.
Yeah.
But we're having that little trouble right now too, where like, I'm over here eating some cake or some wings or some shit. And then I'll look over there, and I gotta tell her.
Oh, Jen's in the chat.
I I gotta tell my wife, hey, yeah, I'm eating this shit, but you better fucking snack on them asparagus sticks.
Asparagus? Oh my God, you're brutal. Yeah, it's the same thing because I recently moved to Florida, and dude, DoorDash has got Krispy Kreme now.
What?
Yeah, exactly. And they don't deliver singles. You can only get a dozen.
Oh.
Jen's not eating Krispy Kreme on prep. I'm not on prep.
Right.
Okay.
Hey, Keith, it's tough, bro.
That's
Man,
awesome.
hey Ryan, but let's get into the meat and potatoes of what we're gonna talk about, because a lot of people want to hear. I've been pumping you up, man, as far as picking your brain and your knowledge, and I'm excited to hear from you as well. So we're gonna dive right into the myths of dieting and training, because there's so much information put out on a daily basis that you and I agree that are just myths, right? They're myths to sell you a product, just to basically sell you, right?
Mm-hmm.
So one of the biggest ones I hear like automatically is, when I want to lose weight, I'm just gonna cut carbs out completely. How do you feel about that?
So everybody's, if you look at the primary macronutrients, so your protein, carbs, and fats, there needs to be a synergy and a balance between the three of them. Like, you can't not have one of them. Fats and carbohydrates are typically acting as energy sources, and your protein is obviously your healing mechanism, but it's also what's going to allow you to create the shape that you want, which, if we were to split the genders, most of the time guys are hyper obsessed with protein, and then girls are trying to cut out the carbs because they're trying to lose fat. That's an overall generalization, right? But in any case, you need all of them, right? But I think that society has created teams, right? So we need to be bodybuilders, or we need to be power lifters, or you need to be toning. And then, you have the diet teams, right? So you're either keto or you're paleo, you're Whole30, you're Weight Watchers, and everyone wants to be a part of a group. But what they don't realize is that the people that are the most successful, which are typically either athletes or bodybuilders, aren't dieting. They're not like part of Weight Watchers or Whole30. And so you have to ask the question, okay, what's the difference between an athlete and a bodybuilder and some, the average person who would be on a diet? And it comes down to knowledge, right? So you're following a macro profile that fits your needs. I'm, doing a macro profile that fits my needs. That might mean high carbs for me. That might be low carbs for you. That might mean high fat for me. That might be, high fat for you. It changes based on the person. So whenever somebody tells me that they're conforming or trying to conform to a diet, they're already kind of putting themselves at a disadvantage, because if they want to order Krispy Kremes on Sunday, they might not be able to do that when I can work that into my schedule. So the whole idea of you need to take out carbs just isn't real, for the simple fact that carbs are in everything. That's really kind of the issue, especially for, the US viewers that are in here. Carbs are in, so many different things that we're not really paying attention to. So typically where the whole demonized carbs issue comes into play is the fact that we're taking in an excessive amount of carbs and we're not even really thinking about it. Like if you have a can of Pepsi and you take down, I believe it's 56 grams of sugar in one can of Pepsi, you're having the Pepsi because you enjoy it, and the can's only this big. So in your mind, you're saying, okay, it's really not that much. But for some people, that might be their daily allowance of sugar and carbohydrates in that small can, and then it leaves no room left for the rest of your day's intake. So it's not that carbs are bad, it's that most people aren't attentive to how much carbs they're taking in through different foods and drinks.
You know what I find interesting too? Most people don't even know they're getting carbs from vegetables.
Right.
Like,
it's true.
they just think, oh, it's the pasta, it's the rice, it's the bread, it's the bread. I just won't eat bread.
Right.
But you're getting, oh, I'll just eat more fruits and vegetables. Well, you're getting a shit ton of carbs.
Right. Exactly. That's all it is.
The knowledge.
That's like one of the biggest things for bodybuilders too, is like whenever they need to fill in their carb gap, a lot of the times it's fill it in with vegetables.
Yep.
You
Yep.
know what I
So
mean?
when I
And that's
post my meals and I don't have like I'll leave out the rice or the sweet potatoes and I'll have like just my meat and my like green beans. Green beans is my choice.
yeah.
Um, and I'll say no carbs. But people don't really realize that yes, I am getting. I just don't. I'm not saying oh, but the green beans has the but they just see that and like oh well shit he just got rid of the rice
Yeah.
or the fucking
It's so true.
they not counting all the sauce that I put on that steak.
Right. And so like it really is like a lot of the hidden values, right? And so like I don't know if you saw, I recently did an 8-week transformation, and
I did. I saw your results too, bro. Dope.
I appreciate that, man. And like it's the key component to that entire transformation is that I did not actually count my macros, which I was trying to prove a point. So I actually went a different route because counting macros for me, honestly, and it's not to be egotistical in any way, shape, or form, counting macros for me would have been too easy. So during that 8-week transformation, it would have been really easy for me to dial it in had I done a really, let's say, a bodybuilder's regimen.
Mm-hmm.
But it's unrelatable to the average person. And so what I was trying to prove to everybody is I just moved to Fort Lauderdale. I want to be able to go out. I want to be able to drink. I want to be able to have a normal social life and still be able to dial it in and get shredded. And so what I immediately did was I eliminated a lot of my liquid sugar calories.
Okay.
That was the first thing I crossed off the list. And so let's say that you only take out, 20 grams of sugar and carbohydrates through drinks a day. If you were to multiply that by 7 days in a week times 4 weeks in a month, all of a sudden, those 20 grams all start to compound each other. And at the end of the month, you've gotten rid of thousands of unnecessary grams of sugar and carbohydrates that otherwise would have been sabotaging results. And so once again, it's a lot of hidden stuff that like you could just eliminate and start to see progress without needing to flip your life upside down just to, get on track with your diet or whatever that, model is.
And see, that's one of my tricks with my clients. So I generally have them all scheduled to drink or shoot for a gallon of water a day. Because that's pretty much sufficient for an average person. I drink more than that, but if you're drinking a gallon of water, you're probably not going to be wanting some juice or other liquids because
you'll spend all day in the bathroom.
Yeah, you're right. So that's one of my tricks. Bro, so I got another point here is I hear people saying, oh, I can eat whatever I want because I work out. Okay. So you can out-train a bad diet.
Yeah.
So can you address that statement? I'm sure you heard that before.
So somebody needs to talk to CT Fletcher about that. All right. So for those of you who don't know CT Fletcher is one of the biggest authentic fitness influencers in the world. And he was a power lifter turned bodybuilder. Now, in his heyday, he was, Corey, I mean, you might need to, I'm not sure if you know, he was huge. I mean, like, he was probably 320 pounds.
You about to go to that McDonald's point, right?
Yes.
Yep.
So he was a power lifter, which for the most part, they're thinking about mass. They're not thinking about a bodybuilder's six-pack. They don't really care about how they look. It's about how much you can lift. So for him, he was well into $3 bills. Like, he was probably 330 pounds at one point, strong as shit, but was raking in McDonald's every single day. And in his heyday, he broke like 5 world records, and then he had a heart attack. And they said his arteries were clogged. He was just as unhealthy as the next, obese person, which is mind-boggling because he was working out every single day. Here's the guy that's the pinnacle of powerlifting, and he's, battling the same health issues as the next guy who's completely sedentary. And so, I'm a huge proponent. I'm not a bodybuilder. I'm a bodybuilder in the literal sense of the definition, which is I'm trying to shape my body the way that I want, but I don't compete. So I want to be able to eat what I want to eat. And so, you know, can you have McDonald's every once in a while? Of course. But
Yes.
to say that, oh, just because I'm working out, I can eat whatever I want, even if your body physically is, you know, you're shredded, you got the caps for shoulders, you got the six pack, girls might have the perfect butt, the perfect shape, whatever it may be. It doesn't mean that your insides aren't deteriorating as a result of the horrible eating. So always be mindful of, you know, what it is that you're putting into your body and what your body actually needs versus what it wants. From a societal standpoint, that's probably the biggest issue, is that we think if we want something that we need to have it. And that's two completely different things, right? There are plenty of small things that we can sacrifice for, to me, the greater good downstream. You know, and a lot of people don't want to sacrifice anything, but as a result, they look in the mirror and they're unhappy.
So that this leads to the next point. If you guys haven't seen his profile, it says he helps people lose weight fast without fad diets, right? So, how do you really? I know how I feel about fad diets. I hate them. But how do you feel about fad diets, given that that's your motto on your Instagram profile?
So I mean, once again, there's exceptions to every rule. I mean, for the sake of conversation, we kind of have to generalize. If you start a diet, most likely you're going to fail. I mean, just the act of starting a diet means that you are creating, in this is how I always explain it to my clients, you're creating two lives as soon as you start a diet. Because what it insinuates is that you have your normal life, which is the life you want to live, and then you have your fitness life over here, and you're trying to bridge the gap. So the diet usually sits over here. So everybody is basically going over to the other side, and they're holding on for dear life, and then that's what they call motivation. And they're like, oh, well, I'm motivated, I'm on track, you know, I've been really, really consistent with my diet, but all of those words imply that you don't really want to be there.
And that's mainly Monday through Thursday.
Right. Exactly. And so, you know, when you get into that mindset of I'm doing something to get a result, it once again implies that it's temporary. And so as soon as they say they hit the fuck it button, as soon as they do that, they're going right back over. And then what happens is there's an overcompensation of what they were doing on their diet. So they actually end up eating more than they did before.
Yep.
And it's almost like this rebellious, like, oh, well, you know what? I did my time. I deserve this. And so then what happens? They swell up like a tick and they can't figure out, you know, how to be consistent. And then over the course of just like life's timeline, once you get into your 30s and your 40s, that yo-yo effect gets really difficult to start losing that weight. And so over the course of your life, you know, you might be able to yo-yo your lifestyle aggressively when you're in your early 20s because you can lose weight just as fast as you gain it. But it becomes really easy to gain weight and harder to lose it over the course of time. Mm-hmm. And so when you don't have a true life balance, then you're kind of setting yourself up for failure as soon as you sign up for a diet, which is why, to me, coaching is so important.
Bro, you are leading me. I love talking to you right now because as I have my bullet points here, you're leading me into the next one, which is like perfect. I don't know. I don't even have to like segue into it.
We're on the same wavelength.
So my next point was talking to these people that's listening about living a balanced lifestyle, right? We're chasing a unicorn because what is the balance? Like, you know, it's not universal, right? Depends on who you are, where you live, what side of the earth you live, and blah, 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 blah. What food sources you have, things that you might be interested in. You know, some of us might want to have some drinks on the weekend or some wine at night, unwinding from the kids, whatever it may be. So, do you feel, I know the answer to this, but just want you to say it. Do you feel You have to completely stop everything to live a balanced lifestyle. As far as like not eating fast food, you know, stop having drinks, don't go out, all that stuff.
Not at all. Like, not even in the slightest bit. I mean, I think everybody's thresholds are different. Everybody's lives are asking and demanding different things, you know, and that's part of the reason I admire you so much is that you have kids. I don't have kids. And so that's an obligation that I don't have. And so that allows me to do other things. Yet you're still getting up before me in the morning. It pisses me off. Every time I wake up and I'm like barely getting my phone started and this dude's just ripping. And I'm like, I don't understand. It's ridiculous. But like everyone's thresholds are different. And so like 100% of action for you is not 100% action for me. If I were an accountant and I had 4 kids and I had no history of athletics, my 100% would be different than mine. And so I think it's just this spectrum that you're able to kind of move the needle back and forth. But to me, that's what's fun about it, is that you know when you're pushing the maximum effort, you know when you're dialing it back. But I think as long as you take the middle of the needle, which would be 50% effort, as long as you're always on the right side between 50 and 100%, I think you're always in the green. And so, you know, you need to be thinking about, okay, how hard do I want to push at any given moment? So during the course of, you know, a Peak Kinetics online program where I'm working one-on-one with a client, I always go based on the speed of the client. If they say, hey, I want to push harder, we push harder. If they say, hey, I want to go full tilt like a bodybuilder, we do it. If they say, hey, I want to take it easy, I just want to kind of take some baby steps and get my feet wet, then that's where we go, because 100% is not the same for every single person. Right. You do not need to give up everything that you enjoy in order for you to be headed in the right direction. But unfortunately, that's kind of the narrative that we've shaped for society, which is the switch is either on or it's off. Yeah. You're either cutting out all carbs and you're on track, you're motivated, or the switch is off, in which case you're binging, you're going out, you're drinking every single weekend. When most people don't realize there really is a middle ground that will yield some pretty incredible results.
Definitely. And so, giving myself as an example, everyone knows I love my Stellas. That's my thing. I love my Stellas. So I share those things. You know, I'll show myself having a couple beers at night. You know, if I'm having a barbecue on my back porch, show myself having a couple Stellas. And people hit me up like, how are you doing these things and still ripped? Right. And I'm like, well, I know how to fit it into my lifestyle.
Right.
To where I am balanced. Or I know when to cut the shit out if I want extreme results.
Right.
So that's a great point you said. I think, and people need to know, well, not know, people need to actually know the importance of having a coach, because you and I are professionals. This is why we can like tap in and do these things. But if you don't know what you're doing, you don't know about nutrition, you don't know how to diet, you don't know how to incorporate programs, you could just be lost.
For a long time. I mean, like one of the questions that I always ask whenever there's a new inquiry for Peak Kinetics is I always say, you know, how long have you been stuck? And the interesting thing is that people are so, once again, as a generalization, most people are really skeptical of coaching, which is completely understandable because there's some shady coaches out there.
Yes.
But to me, everything's a learning experience, even if you do spend the money. You know, for me, it was initially business coaches. And the first business coach that I had was not worth it, but it taught me what not to do. And it taught me what I was not looking for. So it was still a positive experience if you allow yourself to see it that way. You know, for me, my advice is like, get a coach. And if you don't like that coach, get another coach and just keep going through coaching until you find one that works. Mm-hmm. But most people, like they see dieting, they see weight loss as a completely emotional battle, which when you look in the mirror, it is. You know, if you look in the mirror and you see a lack of confidence and you don't like what you see, that's really emotional. But the strategy that's necessary for you to change it is logical. It's not emotional. And that's where a coach comes in. is that they can see the entire picture and say, listen, you may emotionally be feeling this way, but here are the numbers that are going to get you to where you want to be. That's a really, I mean, that is probably the most crucial perspective that you can have to be successful. But most people are just starving for motivation every single day. But you and I both know that motivation is not typically what gets you to the gym. It's accountability and it's discipline.
Yes.
And when
Yes.
you have somebody overseeing what you're doing, it makes that a hell of a lot easier than if you have to, wake up in the morning and pray that you're motivated when 99% of the time that's just not going to happen.
And see, that's what keeps me disciplined. You're part of my discipline because you're in my circle. And so I know if I'm not getting up at 2:45 in the morning, getting started, so that when you guys wake up, I'm already done, that's holding me accountable.
Right.
Even though it's not a direct, you're hitting me up like, hey, man, you better be. But I know these things. It's in my brain. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
So it gets me up every day. I know I got my clients depending on me. I know people are watching. So that's my discipline and my push.
I like it.
So let's before we go, let's give the viewers some quick tips on some things that they can implement to at least attempt to maintain a balanced lifestyle. What you
I
got? You
think
got?
one of the first things that I would do is somewhat tedious, and I think a lot of people hesitate to do it, but you can't. I mean, it's like anything else. You can't start a journey without knowing where your baseline is, and so for a lot of people, you need to know what you're eating. So like a lot of the times, like when I first start working with somebody, I'll say, I want to see what a week's food log looks like for you, and they'll do their best to eat well in that first week as if that's going to help them. But no, like I want to see for real what day in and day out looks for you so that we can just get a baseline of what we need to improve on. That doesn't always mean we're just going to take everything away, but we need to see the numbers. So what I recommend for everybody truly is log your food for an entire week, everything that goes into your body from regular foods, everything down to drinks. And then I would have a professional oversee it. And even if you're just looking at it yourself, let's say that any of the viewers do understand macros, sugars, carbohydrates, fats, proteins, whatever it may be, you may surprise yourself if you track for an entire week and let's say that you thought that you did well, you thought you were eating clean, and then you kind of audit your numbers at the end of the week and you realize, whoa, there was a lot more of whatever food this was than I thought there was. I ended up being, 10,000 calories over what I thought I was. And believe it or not, that's a huge possibility for some people where they go to like Fridays and they have a salad, not realizing those salads are 2,000 calories a bowl. And so I would say, my biggest tip is always start out by tracking. Look to see what you're eating to see if you're anywhere near where you actually think you are. And allow yourself to enjoy things. For me, if I'm not tracking, I say, I'm going to make sure that I'm clean. I call it Monday through Thursday and a half. So from Monday through Thursday and a half, I'm on my game, and then I enjoy my weekend. I don't think about it. You know what I mean? I have what I want. I drink what I want. I go out with my friends. I go out with my girlfriend, whatever it may be. But if I'm dialed in Monday through Thursday, I know that I'm in a good spot for the overall week.
That's a great tip, and that's I feel like for the most part, generally, that's the average person.
Right.
That's a great baseline where people can try to maintain some balance. A tip that I'm gonna give out that just pops in my head is because people take this for granted. They don't talk about these things as much. Get more sleep, drink more water, and try to manage your stress, whichever way you do it. If it's meditation, which I found, working out, whatever. But guys, get more sleep. Sleep is a component that will be the key to a lot of your goals. If you want to grow more muscle, sleep more. If you want to lose more weight, sleep more.
I
You
do.
know?
I'm not gonna ramble because that's your thing, the sleep thing. That is the biggest, the most underrated piece of transforming there is. Like there are people that, oh, you probably get the same thing. What supplement should I be taking? What protein should I take? I'm like, you sleep 3 hours a night. It wouldn't matter what you took, your body still, I mean, like, you have to, like, sleep is by far the biggest thing. By far.
Yeah.
Before
What,
anybody takes any supplements, are you sleeping, you know, everyone's different, but are you sleeping 6 to 9 hours a night is really the question.
bro, and you know I own a supplement company.
Right.
But I'm not one, and there's some of my clients in here, they can attest to you. If you don't have the baseline of the components that we need to get your body to function properly, I'm not selling you no damn product
Right.
because it's not gonna work.
Right. It's so true.
But sleep and then water, man. A lot of people don't drink enough water. Oddly, you would think that because it's so essential to living, right? And our bodies
Yeah.
are made up of 75% water, and we don't drink that much water as people. So that would be another tip for me is the sleep. Guys, drink more water and try to manage your stress however it is that you do it. Just try.
Corey, how old are you now?
Man, man.
Just do it.
I'm 40, bro. I'm
All
40.
right.
I'm
This
all
is
about my sleep.
This is a potent message to anybody who's watching. The dude is diced to the nines at 40. If at this point you are not listening to everything that he says, we need to have a real discussion. All right? Because at this, like, look to the people who have done it before. If you want to be a millionaire, talk to a millionaire. If you want to be shredded or in shape, talk to somebody who's shredded or in shape. Because when we talk about the spectrum again, you don't need to be on the same end of the spectrum as them. But if you can see them at the end of the spectrum and you fall and you are close to that, you're probably still going to be in a better situation than you're in already. So, you know, you guys listen to Corey because I'm telling you, he knows his stuff and he's clearly doing it right.
Man, I really appreciate you, bro. I got you 9 minutes over, so I'm so sorry. The conversation
No, you're good.
was great, man. Guys, thank you for tuning in to Tips by Tibbs. I hope you guys got a lot from Ryan, man. He's my brother, man. He's one of the people. Like I got his page on notification. Anytime he makes a post, it alerts me. That's how much I
I
want to see.
appreciate it, man.
I got a lot of love and respect for the guy, man. I appreciate having you on, bro.
Dude, thank you so much for having me, man. Let's definitely do this again soon and let's talk, all right?
All right, brother. Thank you.
Have a good day, man.
All right.